The meandering Yukon River and the tributaries that flow from it, part of the salmon's roughly 3,200-kilometer journey from the Bering Sea through Alaska all the way to southern Yukon. We're heading to Michie Creek, the easiest way to access the watershed by floatplane. The waterway provides ideal spawning habitat for Chinook salmon, a place they return to year after year in one of the world's longest migrations. With their formidable tails, they dig nests called redds, where their eggs will incubate. With any luck, newly hatched salmon will emerge from sacks come springtime.
But maybe our next generation or children's children will be able to, fish for Chinook again one day. That's our dream. Our dream to even if we could just put in a net for cultural reasons, to keep that knowledge alive, and that would be what all this work is for, to also look after this ecosystem. Little Jack. Little Jack.
The Yukon First Nation has long run a salmon monitoring program here. Mays plays a crucial role in that work. She's watched as the salmon population has plummeted. About 2 years ago, numbers reached an all-time low, with only 12,000 Chinook reaching the Canadian border. Against all odds, though, and with some surprise, Mays says they're seeing more salmon return here this year. They've counted 86 adult fish, up from 22 the year before.
Like right now, we're seeing all this bear activity. Last year, the few years, we didn't see the bear activity. You didn't see as many eagles or as many kingfishers, and that's what comes back. When the salmon come back, the animals come back, and that's what feeds this land and makes it so healthy. So salmon are really, really important to this system and to the Yukon.
Earlier this year, Canada and the state of Alaska struck an agreement that bans Chinook fishing in the Yukon River basin. The 7-year moratorium covers the full life cycle of salmon. The deal sets a new conservation target of 71,000 Chinook at the international border.
And looking what the other sonars are collecting throughout the Yukon is kind of giving us hope that, maybe this is what we needed to do a long time ago. There's no maybe about it, exactly what we should have done. But I think it has something to do with it.
Mays says the salmon are entwined with the history of this place, continuously used and stewarded by the Tagish Kwan. Crews visit throughout the year, checking water quality, temperature, and flows. In the fall, First Nation citizens and biologists assess spawning success. They record their weight, age, and length of their carcasses. In other words, they're here to get a sense of how the salmon lived as they come here to die. The data will eventually be shared with partners like the federal government. Lars Jessup is a whitehorse-based biologist. For the last decade, he's been helping Kwanlin with its monitoring program. He says the fish are showing they're resilient, even the younger fish.
They're big, they're healthy, they're growing similar to the way they've always grown in the past. A lot of people are feeling the pressure because there's no salmon, but the relationships that are forged through this crisis, whether with the Alaskans and the Canadians and fishermen and biologists and First Nations, that will be a lasting legacy. There's a lot of optimism there. And I think the fish themselves, as we're seeing in Michie Creek today, if you give them the room to do what they do, they're going to be just fine.
Jessup says the secret to their success likely lies in Michie Creek itself.
Michie Creek is a little bit unique in the extreme upper Yukon drainage because it's lake-headed, so salmon like a lake at the top of the creek. It buffers temperatures, it limits sediment, it does a bunch of really good things for fish. So they really like a lake-headed system, and this is a nice lake-headed system with a long creek with really good spawning gravel.
Dennis Zimmerman chairs the Yukon Salmon Subcommittee. He says the monitoring program at this creek should be applied to the entire watershed.
We need collaboration across the board, and that's what it's going to take to, again, give the Chinook space to do their work. We have a real opportunity to restore these runs. So this is sort of proof that you know, it can be done.
Mays says the problems affecting salmon and spawning grounds are complex, but the way to save them is simple. Protect the creek, protect the salmon. She says the waterway should be off limits to mineral staking, development of any kind, people driven by greed.
That's my dream. And as long as I'm around, and I know my citizens would want the same thing, we'll fight for that right to the very end.
The salmon bring everyone and everything together. Just take a look at all of the signs of wildlife around here, of bears, and marten, and kingfishers, all of which rely in large part on the Chinook salmon. The people who are doing work in this area say it'll take years for the run to rebound, but one of the very first places that that rebound will be seen is right here at Michie Creek. Julien Greene, CBC News, Michie Creek.